Hi friends, welcome to Meals with Maria. Today we're talking about bananas. Right, Benny? Benny loves bananas. Ben's gonna help us as we cook some recipes with lots and lots of bananas. You can see over here, this is only what's left of them because I purchased way too many bananas. I thought that I was getting 10 bananas and I got 10 bunches of bananas, which has spurred many banana recipes, and I'm excited to share them all with you. And I will be freezing all the rest of these. They're pretty much on their last legs. So we did what we could. I have some great recipes for you. Bananas are awesome because they are totally the best. I would say they're the lowest. Oh, dude, you're getting all in there. They're a budget fruit. They're so cheap. Every extreme grocery budget challenge you see, they have bananas pretty much. Bananas or apples, but they're such an easy fruit to keep around. Bananas are awesome because you can put the bananas in the freezer when they're going bad, and you can make banana muffins and banana bread and banana pancakes out of those. And they are awesome because you can oftentimes do like almost like a vegan type recipe where if you don't have eggs, you can still make stuff as long as you have bananas. So that's key. I love that because even though I eat eggs, sometimes I don't have them in the house and I still want to bake something. Bananas are a great thing to be able to make something that is still moist, delicious, cooks up well, and you have it on hand, and it's so cheap. So here's some awesome recipes. I think I actually have like 5 different recipes for you guys, so enjoy. This first recipe is a 2-ingredient, and I'm actually going to use 3 ingredients, but 2-ingredient banana cookie. It's an oatmeal cookie. It's so simple. You want 1 cup of instant oats per banana. So I have 2 bananas. I did 2 cups of oats, and then a half a cup of chocolate chips per banana. So I did a cup of chocolate chips. Then you bake them at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. You want to roll them into like balls and then flatten them out and then bake them. And for some reason, I didn't get footage on that. But these are just too simple not to show you guys because these are like the perfect thing to make. 1, if you're trying to stay a little healthier. And 2, if you don't have other stuff on hand. Now, the next recipe is actually a vegan banana pancake from Bon Appetit, and it showed up in the perfectly timely fashion. It showed up right in my inbox because I love the recipes from Bon Appetit, although I don't make them often because they are high in ingredient usually, but this was perfect. So you want a cup of old-fashioned oats, which I almost always have on hand. You want to place those in the food processor. So I have this handheld food processor, but you have a larger one, that's totally fine too. I think you could even do it in like a NutriBullet. And you want to grind those oats in the processor until finely ground, basically with a little bit of texture remaining, about a minute. And then right in that same food processor, you want to peel and tear a banana into large pieces, and you can place that right on top of the oats, along with, it says a dairy-free milk. So you want to use a half a cup and 2 tablespoons of whatever type of milk you want to use. So my pancakes did not end up being vegan because I used just a regular whole milk, but go ahead and use what suits you or what you have on hand. Then the recipe calls for a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, but I feel like it is totally fine to just eyeball that because cinnamon is delicious. Same thing with vanilla extract. Go ahead and add as much as you like. I mean, like not the whole bottle, but a half a teaspoon or so. You may want to be a little more precise on the baking powder and add 1.5 teaspoons. You just want to process this and scrape down the sides if you need to until well combined. If you're working with a larger food processor, you can probably just leave everything right in the bowl of the food processor, but because mine was smaller, I poured mine into a separate bowl. And at this point, you want to add a 1/4 cup of those old-fashioned oats, and we're going to mix that throughout. If you are adding chocolate chips, now is the time to do it. Now, I wanted to make some of these for my little baby, and he is just not ready for chocolate chips yet. So I'm going to put chocolate chips on a few of my pancakes, and other than that, I'm going to leave them out. If you do want to mix in chocolate chips, you can add a 1/4 cup at this point. I'm also slicing up 1 more banana because the fun thing about this is we're going to put some bananas in once we start cooking our pancakes, and when we flip them, it's actually going to caramelize the banana. So these cut up bananas are a really cool addition in this recipe. It's also a nice and sneaky way to use more bananas because where I was trying to use as many bananas as possible, I find that many of these recipes do use bananas. It tastes delicious. I love them in it, but they don't use a lot of bananas. So I will still be freezing so many because even though I made many banana recipes, there's really just no way to go through that many at the same time. Most recipes call for 2 or 3 at a time. Now to cook up these pancakes, I am just heating up 2 pans. I got a smaller one and a bigger one, going with some butter because I think butter and pancakes are just like heaven. So you can use whatever oil you want, but if you have butter, I mean, I recommend it. And I usually cook my pancakes over a medium-low heat. I know some recipes, including this one, actually calls for like a medium-high, and I just think that is way too hot for a pancake. I like it to cook low and slow. That way you don't burn the sides of it and it cooks it all the way through. So I'm going with a medium-low here. I've decided to start myself off with a couple of larger pancakes. So if you want to, you can do like all larger pancakes, but I'm going to do a couple of large ones with 3 bananas and a bunch of little chocolate chips on there, and those are specifically for me. And then the rest of them, I'm just going to do smaller pancakes, like the silver dollar size ones with 1 or 2 banana slices on them. I love these pancakes because they are really healthy. They are easy if you don't have eggs. Like I said earlier, it's nice. They don't have any eggs in them and they don't need them. They also don't need regular flour. So if you are gluten-free and you have like a gluten-free oats, that's the perfect thing to put in this. And I think especially if you use like a gluten-free chocolate chip, you are going to be good to go as well. So it's just a really nice like allergy-friendly meal, but it's also so flavorful and so delicious. Like I really, really enjoyed having these, and it was a great use for my bananas, and they were pretty cheap. The next recipe is a small batch pumpkin banana muffin, and I'm going to double the recipe because I don't need a small batch. I need a regular size batch. And my son was asking me about pumpkin muffins forever, and I kept saying I was going to make them, and this was the perfect opportunity. I'm like, well, we have extra bananas, so you can't get only pumpkin muffins. They're going to be pumpkin banana muffins. So I'm going to start off with 2 ripe bananas, and this recipe does call for eggs, so we're going to use 2 large eggs. I'm using 1 can of pumpkin, and this was great too because I had a can of pumpkin in my pantry forever, and I was like, I need to use this up. Not that I don't have other pumpkin, but I didn't want it to go bad, so just trying to get everything moving in the pantry. So I'm like, this is the perfect use for some pantry pumpkin. Then add a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, or whatever looks good. Now the recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar, but I decided to use almost a cup of maple syrup that I had in the fridge. I've been using that sometimes as a substitute, and it turns out great. You also want to add in 6 tablespoons of melted and cooled butter, and I think you could probably use all like oil for this, or potentially an applesauce, because sometimes applesauce can be a substitute for oil too. So I haven't tried that, but I think it might be good in this recipe. And so I'm just mashing everything together. You can see like the bananas, you really want to mash those down. The more, like the older your bananas are, the easier they will be to mix up like that. You're also going to want to add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And then I'm putting in some ground nutmeg and some ground cinnamon. The original recipe does call for 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice blend, which I didn't have on hand, so I wasn't using it, but I figured, hey, I think that cinnamon and nutmeg are something that reminds me of that. If you have like a ground clove, that would probably be good too. Whatever you have on hand should work in this. Just think pumpkin, think fall, and it will all come together. Now there's a small theme in this video, and that is that Mac continues to bother me on the counter. He is not allowed on the counter, so we'll continue to take him off, but he is adorable, so I figured I'd have to show you how annoying and adorable he is at the same time. You just want to add in 2 cups of flour. I'm just using an all-purpose flour, and mix that in. You can also use a gluten-free flour if you want to, or I think whole wheat would probably be fine in this as well. Now I was thinking muffin cups are cute, but I was just going to put these in my kids' lunches, and they were actually unnecessary, and I figured it was actually money saving to not use muffin cups, so I didn't use them in this particular instance. I just sprayed down my muffin tin. Then I'm using my 1.5 tablespoon cookie scoop, and I'm just trying to put everything evenly in here. This should make 12 perfect muffins, so just keep filling it until everything's evenly filled. And this is what they look like at the end. So you want to bake these at 350 degrees for 22-23 minutes, and they are so delicious. Like, these are so moist. I love a pumpkin muffin. I'm actually probably going to go downstairs in a few minutes and get one myself. Now this next recipe is for a banana crepe filling, and I'm going to make the crepes from The Joy of Cooking, and Mac is going to bother me yet again. So sweet, but so much. He's just a little guy, you know. You want to start off with 1 cup of milk, and you can use milk alternative with this too. I've done that many times. It's very good. And a 1/2 cup of lukewarm water, as well as 1 cup of flour. We're using a gluten-free flour, but you can use just a regular flour. That's totally fine. And then 4 eggs. You want to mix that well, and you also want to add in 3 teaspoons of sugar, and I kind of forgot to add that earlier, so I didn't end up adding it later. And the sugar just makes it into a sweet crepe versus a savory crepe. You also want 4 tablespoons of melted butter, but I can't tell you the amount of times that I forget to get the butter out of the microwave and then don't put them in my crepes, and the crepes still turn out great. So I don't know, crepes with butter, without butter, they still taste really good. And it's not a make or break. So just in case you don't have butter on hand or you forget it, just know you can still do it and they're still very good. So I'm just going to let that sit for a few minutes, and I'm going to get everything started for our crepe filling. So you're going to want 2 bananas chopped up, and we're going to just slice them both into, I don't know, maybe 1/4 inch each slices of banana. In a separate bowl, add in 4 ounces of softened cream cheese to 1 cup of sour cream, and then you're going to want to blend that together with a hand mixer, or you can put it in a stand mixer, or you could probably even do this in like a food processor or a NutriBullet, but you definitely want to get something so that you can really mix together all of that cream cheese and sour cream. Once that's fully mixed, you want to stir in 1 cup of powdered sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then you can just place this cream filling in the fridge until your bananas and crepes are done. You want to start with 4 tablespoons of butter in a medium skillet and melt that over medium heat. And while the bananas are getting started, I want to start the crepes as well. So I am just using, I love to use a ladle when I make crepes. If you have one of those like fun little crepe scrapers, go for it, but I do not. So I like to cook my crepes very similar to my pancakes. So I'm using a medium-low heat, and I have butter in the bottom of the pan, and I'm just trying to spread the crepe out as much as possible. So a lot of times I do this just by moving my pan around, and you really want to make that crepe nice and thin. You see how there's like little chunks in it? It's totally fine. It's still going to taste delicious. It's something I've dealt with crepes my whole life. I don't know if it's like a thing, and maybe I should be mixing them better, but I still think they taste delicious. So as it goes with every first pancake, the first crepe had to get messed up. So I just wanted to show you that it's just real life, and you have to mess up the first one. It's kind of like a rite of passage. So you know the first one's going to get messed up, and that's like really good because you just get to eat that, and it's delicious. So on the other pan here, I have my butter all melted, and then you want to add a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. So we're basically going to make like a caramel with a teaspoon of cinnamon, and you just want to cook that up really well and make sure that you stir it and the brown sugar begins to caramelize. You want to gently stir the bananas into the caramelized brown sugar, and then cook those for 2 to 3 minutes until those bananas begin to caramelize. Gotta love this recipe because it's taking such inexpensive everyday items that we have in our cabinets and making something that is truly gourmet. This tastes so good. This is something that you could make for friends and family. You can impress your family with, and just make it for yourself because you deserve it. And then I just need to show you the redemption. The crepes do end up turning out just fine. Look at that. It's a perfect toss, and that's the perfect crepe, to me at least. Delicious. So this is how you're going to set up your crepe. You want to put the cream inside of the crepe and it really just covered the whole thing. I was surprised at how thin this was, but it didn't even matter because it was so delicious. I mean, you put a cup of powdered sugar into anything and it's going to be good. So pretty much a winner. So I just wanted to fold it into 4. You could fold it like over half and then put them on like the bananas on top like that. But in the picture in the recipe, it looked like they folded it over into quarters and then they put the caramelized bananas on top. Now, such as mom life, you can see that the caramel kind of got sticky there. That's because I had to wait till after the kids got off the bus or got onto the bus in order to have this myself. So I didn't get to try it until it got a little bit cold. But if you have it fresh, it will be runny and caramelly. And this is so gourmet and so delicious. 10 out of 10, I recommend. Now, next we are going to make, there's many words for this, nice cream, fresh fruit ice cream. If you're a Cocomelon fan, you know, ice cream, fresh fruit ice cream, ready to eat. Yeah, that's what we're making. We're using some frozen bananas. I'm just going to make with one frozen banana today. We have some frozen blackberries because that's what I happen to have, but you could use strawberries, you could use blueberries, you could use any other fruit that you had. And then I have chocolate chips and some toasted coconut. You can put any topping on this that you like. The key is you can't add any water. So this is not like a smoothie. In order to make it into ice cream, you have to use the frozen fruits as they are. And it's a little tough on your blender or your NutriBullet or your food processor. I think you can do it in any single one of those. You just have to give it its time and let it go. And you will come out with an ice cream looking like this. And it's nice and thick and it tastes so good. And it's healthy. It makes you think like I'm having something that is unhealthy, but it's not. You could actually have it for breakfast. So this tastes so delicious. Don't forget about that when you have freezer bananas and you're like, I want something sweet, but I don't have any ice cream. This is for you. And that is my last recipe today. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you got some great banana ideas. Please post all your favorite banana recipes in the comments below so we can share with the community, because I have so many more bananas. I need more ideas too. The description box has all the recipes, and there's also more recipes in there. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to see more awesome budget videos, and I will see you all very soon. I would watch the days go by, wasted in blue. I was out of you.